If you're not a huge fan of tomatoes, try this recipe. You're gonna love them. The first step of this recipe is to cut the tomatoes in half. I'm gonna cut them into strips about 1 centimeter in size. And altogether, I'm gonna use 500 grams of tomatoes. Now, I recommend opting for ripe tomatoes. They're really gonna enhance the flavor. So just repeat the process and continue cutting your tomatoes. Now, wash your tomatoes before cutting them. And after finishing, simply add all the tomato pieces into a bowl. Next, we're going to repeat the process with half of a red bell pepper. So cut the bell pepper into the same size and shape as the tomatoes. You want to cut those into thin strips of about 1 centimeter. Now I'm using red bell pepper, but you could also use yellow or green. Now finely chop the bell peppers into small pieces, just like so. This process could also be done in a food processor if you want to speed it up a little bit. Now, after finishing, add all the bell pepper pieces on top of your tomatoes. Now we're just going to repeat the process with a good amount of cilantro. So go ahead and chop the cilantro into small little pieces. If you prefer, you could also blend the bell pepper with the cilantro in a food processor to create a well-seasoned paste. You could also replace the cilantro with parsley or chives if you don't like cilantro. Now add the chopped cilantro to your tomatoes. Parsley or rosemary could also substitute as well. All seasonings here are optional, so feel free to season as you like. Get creative. Finally, season with 3 cloves of minced garlic. Also going to add a generous amount of oregano. Season with half a tablespoon of black pepper and 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and now just stir and mix everything really well. The sugar is going to help balance the tomatoes' flavor, making it a little bit softer and tastier. These seasoned tomatoes are just incredibly flavorful. You can make this recipe and serve it with meat, with a nice barbecue, or even with rice. You could also get creative and vary the way that you cut the tomatoes as well. Now, after mixing everything really well, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of white vinegar, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and then just repeat the process and mix everything again. So this recipe really is easy and so delicious. These seasoned tomatoes are just, they hit the spot. Now, after mixing everything well, our recipe is almost ready. I'm going to refrigerate it for an hour. And then with those chilled tomatoes, we are ready to eat. So the tomatoes are tender and flavorful. For even more flavorful tomatoes, you could cook the bell pepper with the garlic and then add it on top of the tomatoes after frying. Up to you. But these tomatoes, just as they are incredibly flavorful, will change everything you know about tomatoes. The taste is so delicious, so make this at home. The